little while ago, I might have had something of a revelation about myself as a content creator. I'd been making lots of statements about how I could do things outside of YouTube. Maybe I didn't want to be the center of attention anymore, and that I wanted to put myself in the background, and that's still true. I think by the time I explain this here, people will finally know what I really mean by that. You're witnessing it happen right now, but you'll find out what I really mean in a second. So, I wanted to put myself in the background and consider doing things other than just what I do as a YouTuber. But over the course of the last few months, I've been paying a lot more attention to my style, my roots, my style, my roots, my style, my roots, my style, my roots.
Yo, BC in the house, making guac, smoking rocks, killing cows, producing crops. You already know how it is. Rolling with some AKs and we popping hand grenades. Yeah, we disturb the peace. We also punch them hobos and stomp out little kids. We don't give a fuck, bitch. So we call the po-po. You know we got poor health. That's why we say
my style, my roots, my style, my roots.
FDR, the freaking dude Roosevelt. President for 4 freaking terms.
When FDR was a kid, he spoke to Grover Cleveland, who told him never become president.
Where you, Grover Cleveland? But he became president anyway. It was so awesome they put him on the freaking dime. On his own postage stamp.
My style, my roots, my style, my roots, my style, my roots, my style.
A little twang and I'm already calling it a western habit hanging over my head, a southern spirit and a heart in my bed.
Watching lots of YouTube and sort of reacquainting myself with what I enjoy about YouTube as a medium. What I enjoy.
Sunday comes again. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
That was a week ago! It was at least a week ago! I don't even know how long it's been anymore!
Comes again. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday comes again. Sunday,
I don't
Monday,
think Hulk Hogan
Tuesday,
is black
Wednesday,
because I don't think
Thursday,
he's a
Thursday,
racist.
Friday,
I don't think that you can call a man a
Sunday
racist
comes again.
if you're black, but
Sunday,
if you're
Monday,
not black,
Tuesday,
you can't call...
Wednesday,
I don't
Thursday,
think
Thursday,
that
Friday,
Hulk Hogan-
Saturday, Sunday
I'm black.
comes again. Sunday, Monday,
Oh,
Tuesday,
God.
Wednesday,
Oh,
Thursday,
God, there's too
Thursday,
many
Friday,
things to
Saturday,
say.
Sunday comes
Help.
again.
Not only has it become apparent to me that the way I think and the way that I create is uniquely informed by YouTube. I'm going to explain in another clip the way that my writing has been affected, in particular, where I now sort of write for screen. But my whole personality has kind of been warped around what this lifestyle is. The fact that YouTube is sort of about constant production and about constant innovation and about putting yourself out there, those are the tenets of this website in a way. The reason I do YouTube is kind of just because those are what my art style always was. If you read my old anime blog, for instance, it was always extremely personal. It was always taking you on a story with me. It was always about my own progression through anime fandom. And then there was this element of taking you on research trips with me and sort of getting in that way. I was always absurdly prolific to the point that people were often telling me it hurt my blog because I would sometimes put out 3 posts in a day and it would overload people's feeds and they just wouldn't care about any of them. Even though they were all short, seeing 3 of them made it a hassle, especially if you didn't know what you were gonna get. I also always had a really bombastic and opinionated personality and I always wrote extremely fast. I was never somebody who sat on a script and rewrote it and really tried to make my posts perfect or anything. I was just fucking posting all the time. So that style of grab a camera and go and rant and rave and let the fact that you have a strong personality carry the script, the fact that you have a strong written voice or just spoken voice, or just out there opinions that might fucking, offend people or get them thinking, regardless of how the writing quality is. Those are the traits that are rewarded on YouTube. The transition for me from anime blogger to anime YouTuber was seamless, essentially. As soon as I figured out how to edit a video, like how to make that possible through doing my, MLP videos, which were just anime blog posts but about a cartoon instead of anime. I just kind of read the scripts into a microphone, edited a video around it, and there you go. Doing the same thing I've always done was now a successful YouTube career. However, my influences now and my priorities are completely different. I mean, back then, I was reading primarily anime blogs. I wasn't really watching YouTube back when I wrote an anime blog. I certainly didn't have the concept of a YouTuber. It was only through discovering those people that I eventually got onto YouTube. But that is the total opposite of the case now. I don't read almost anything online. I do love to read the few things I do when they float past my desk, and I still get more inspired by Film Crit Hulk than I do by anything else. I think his writing about film is the closest to what I wish I could achieve in writing about anime. That doesn't mean that I am more geared towards text writing, towards being a text blogger, because Film Crit Hulk is someone who's good enough at that he somehow has a career doing it, And maybe he wouldn't be good at YouTube. Maybe he wouldn't be a good speaker. Maybe he takes too long on the fucking shit he works on. He's not just a fucking internet personality, which is part of why he can get away with doing text. He is obviously not trying to make a living off of it. But point being, I am not someone who is good enough a text writer to survive on text. I am not a good enough scriptwriter. No one on YouTube is, by the way. There's maybe 3. There's no necessarily need for them to, because they also have all these other skills that YouTube is perfect for. I don't know if Endless Jess would be better off writing a book or making more YouTube videos. I know he'd prefer to go write a book, but I don't know which will profit him more in the long run. Either one I would be fucking absolutely down for. But I could not write a book that would be so interesting or so good that it would stand up as a book that people want to go seek out and read. What I can do is turn my idea of a book into a video that is engaging enough for people to watch. And it kind of comes naturally to me in a way that I can do YouTube videos without needing a written component. You're gonna carry that weight, the Cowboy Bebop video, which has 500,000 views. I literally just got drunk, went into my closet and rambled for half an hour and then cut that down and had Devu edit sound and video onto it. Without it would not survive, but that's all it took. I didn't have to write a script. That is how good I can be at YouTubing when the inspiration hits and I have the right idea. Not to mention, there are so many ways that I want to help advance the medium of YouTube. I don't want to run away from this place, even though the site itself is falling apart and, people are looking for other avenues and people are just raging against the machine over the fucking monetization and shit. The fact of the matter is, there is nowhere to go. There's nowhere you can even slightly go. And I would love to make stuff that I can't make on YouTube. There's lots of shit I would love to be making. I'd love to make just Sakuga AMVs or something, that I don't have to worry about copyright detection on.
Don't need a gun to get respect up on the street. Under the sun, the bastard son will pop the clock to feed himself and family. By any means, your enemies, my enemies, we wet them up like a canteen. The yellow tape surrounds the fate, don't have a face, so now you late. Open the gates, right? Eliminate like a lemonade. Hey, young boy had to penetrate. Face, young boy done caught a case. Bang, now my mama living with the pain. Wait, doctor says he's gonna stay. They don't get the system, so he regenerate. Now a nigga harder than the head of the state. Giselle Curry is the new candidate. Ultimate, alternate, you are the opposite. Stop the shit, chop your esophagus.
But the bulk of my career is gonna survive on YouTube because this is the only place you can upload the insane amounts of data and time that you can on this website and have all the like incredible viewer options. Like as a viewer on YouTube, you have an insane number of options about how you can view a video, and it's really fucking cutting edge in that regard. And I have lots of ideas about how to advance and evolve the medium. You all know I'm someone who's experimented with video formats plenty of times, who's experimented stylistically, who's come up with lots of different like ways to approach the idea of anime YouTubing.
Part 1 of Layer 02 is complete. Please insert disk 02 into the disk drive to proceed with Part 2.
What is your name? First year in junior high? Second? Is school fun?
You know, even if it's something as simple as 10 sickest anime clips where it's just me like getting real baked and commentating over Sakuga scenes and then editing those Sakuga scenes into a video. It took probably an hour and a half of work to make that, but like it's entertaining to some people, including myself. Now, I'm somebody who's always had this dream of creating the big piece of art, like the film or the novel. And I know I'm never gonna make a film because filmmaking's a fucking pain in the ass. I'd love to be involved on a film, maybe as a producer, but like not as someone who has to actually make one. Why am I fucking making my hair look like shit? Like, if I wanted to write a book, I could do that, and I just want to be able to say like, oh, I wrote like a 50 to 100,000 word like piece. And I did that with The Asterisk War Sucks, but like that doesn't really have survivability as a book, and there's lots of things I would change about it or tighten. I've written a few light novels, but like they're all bad in their own ways. So like I still feel like I need to write that novel, but like I could write it as a YouTube video, you know? I could write a fucking novel and like release it on YouTube as an audiobook and then sell an audiobook of it and just tell people, here, you can buy the audiobook, you know? And I might do that later this year. I might do that with an anime analysis project that'll be noveling. I think that'd be really interesting, and it would be a new way to like test how you can monetize or release this kind of shit. I might do flash fiction, but as vlogs, instead of just writing 50 or less word fictions and then posting them on Tumblr like I used to do when I was younger. I've got a throbbing fucking headache and a need to sleep for 12 hours. The end result of a super wired gig with a spike and a monster plus a couple cans of Mountain Dew, fuck was I gonna do? They got a 7-Eleven right across the street. I bought all the shit I could carry, naturally more than I could drink. The guys didn't even want to look at it. Fucking punks who sleep like normal people, fuck them. The show is shit, just like my brain, and I want to go home now. I think I'm gonna fucking die. Spike TV can shove it up its ass, all 60 years of my daily value of vitamin whatever. Just keep beating on that goddamn guitar. You do that so I can drink it all and haul this broken corpse up there to break my heart and love every minute of it. God bless rock and roll, or fucking shoegaze, or whatever. I could just make it a vlog, and it'll get at least 2,000 views, like minimum, so somebody's gonna fucking see it, instead of just posting it to nobody, you know? And then maybe if that gets its own audience or following, that'll be another avenue to pursue, but who knows? You know, but who knows? You know, but who knows? You know, I've got way too many ideas about what to do with YouTube to abandon YouTube, but I need to slow down a little bit so I can think through more of these ideas, because the way I've approached things so far has been not to stray too far from the path. Most of what I've introduced in the last year are things like podcasts, let's plays, you know, like they have new concepts or new ways of operating, like Insufferable Social Media Argument is a podcast where everything is just a bullshit lie, you know, like that's the joke, which is hilarious. And then you've got like the Procrastinators podcast, where it's like this 9-man team that switches out into groups of 5, which is pretty unique in its own way. Not that I created the PCP or anything, but like, you know, that's the kind of things I'm a part of. Game Boys, where we like do an entire console in each episode and like just run through all its games. Watching every Pokemon movie and doing a podcast, which is mostly unique in that it's like every movie in a franchise, you know, being podcasted about. You know, these are all interesting ideas, but they're all just ideas for podcasts. They're not new ideas about how podcasts can be framed or released. They're not new ideas about what a podcast can be, how it can be formatted, you know. And I think that there are people asking those ideas about podcasts, about music on YouTube, about videos on YouTube. There's lots of people who are challenging the notion of how those things are supposed to be released.
There's also this new genre I wanted to parody. It's called Deep Web, where have you heard of it? It's super underground. It's you basically get YouTube videos, you sample YouTube videos with less than without any views or less than 10 views, and you sample them and use music. And a lot of people have been doing this, but a lot of them I feel are they're trying to go into the great unknown with creating the new genre, but I think they're missing the point of video, the video canvas. They're getting a video and just taking the audio and they're like, let's just make music out of it. I'm like, dude, you're taking a video. Just use the video to make music out of it. Because I realize a lot of people don't care as much as they used to about music. Whenever I talk to old people about music, they're like, back in my day, we used to listen to music and we used to just have the video. But now everyone's like, oh, you need a visualizer, a video or something to make you feel the music. And it's like, well, I think that now we have the videos, so go get a video, sample it, cut it up with a bunch of other videos, and you have this whole new art form, a whole new collage of just pre-existing content. And that's what I've noticed about YouTube, especially now, is it's a lot of people with pre-existing content commenting on the pre-existing content. Look at this thing, here are my opinions on it. Whereas before it was here's a creation that I made solely of myself. Now it's more here's a mix mash of everything that has ever influenced me, all put into one specific little video portal you could watch.
For those who've never heard of him, Frank Jeff C is a musician and YouTuber who I've collaborated with in very small ways. I've used a couple of his beats, one of which he gave me for my birthday in creating some of my songs. If you've never heard Dick About My Bitch, what are you waiting for?
I pulled my dick up out my bitch so I could come deal with your shit. So make it quick, I gotta split and get back to producing kids. I pulled my dick up out my bitch so I could come deal with your shit. So make it quick, I gotta split and get back to producing kids.
Anyways, Frank Jeff C is somebody who had been signed to a label as a musician and was basically dicked over by the label and sort of turned his back on the music industry. He instead became a YouTuber who heavily incorporated his own original music into his work, and he was mostly making videos with titles like How to Make Vaporwave or Introduction to This Genre or That Genre, where he would first explain the history of the genre, usually with lots of memes and a very stoned out approach, and then he would show you how to create it. But he would take very unique approaches to showing you how. It wasn't always a straightforward tutorial, and he would incorporate all kinds of different visual and audio ideas into his videos. Now, Frank Jeff C did an interview with The Needle Drop where he talked about how he really feels that more music needs to be released with a visual component. He was like, all these people are releasing music on YouTube, but none of them are doing anything with the video part. And he really wanted to see more of that and wanted to do more of that himself. And he makes lots of really inventive YouTube videos, or music videos rather, that feel like YouTube videos. They incorporate aspects of vlogging, typical editing that you would see on YouTube, in a similar way to what I've done in my own music videos, and even what Death Grips does in a lot of their videos.
It goes,
So it's raining outside today, and it normally doesn't rain in Los Angeles, so I decided to write a little song about it.
Here we go again, my only friend, you make me feel brand new. Wish this moment lasts forever, cloudy weather got me feeling blue.
rock in my bedroom, playing new Doom with Aesop Rock and MF Doom, and a shroom sandwich. Not psychedelic, but delicious. Got no bitches, no women either for that matter. I'm higher on scattered thoughts than most get on battering pipes. I make a living off my list of gripes. I've got no game, no life, and plenty of cash from passion. The type to look at myself and start laughing. Cause I'm holed up in my room, cranking up the sub so the bass go boom. YouTube surfing on the couch with a box of goon, and just too much time, not enough to do. Chutch, cause I'm holed up in my room, cranking up the sub so the bass go boom. YouTube surfing on the couch with a box of goon, and just too much time, not enough to do. Frank Jeff C's existence is kind of fascinating because, not unlike myself, he's someone who probably couldn't actually succeed outside of YouTube, aside from the fact that the music industry is incredibly difficult to break into, especially as an electronic music producer, because there's so many out there, and it's so hard to get like a perfect, crystal clear sound, to get something like well produced in the biggest, scare quotes possible. And Frank Jeff C's not quite at that level of ultra clean production. He's really high. He's way higher up than like most internet producers are. Frank Jeff C does not have the best voice. He's not the best looking. He doesn't have the funniest lyrics, though his lyrics are pretty funny and mega relatable, especially to someone like me who's a YouTuber. But that's exactly what he's got going for him. He's a YouTuber. He relates to YouTube culture. He sings about things that go on the internet. He sings about what the relationship is between viewer and audience member, the relationship between his music and his, internet presence, and how difficult it is for him to get people to pay as much attention to his music as they pay to his meme videos. And by incorporating the really and because if there's one area that he does succeed at least when he's trying, it's being a YouTuber. He knows how to make funny, well-edited videos that are topical in some strange way. He knows how to, use all the tips and tricks of what YouTubers do, but then to make actually great music out of it.
Make it up on the flow like this, and that's kind of what jazz was all about. It was invented by people that didn't even speak the same languages, just hanging out. Some of them spoke Spanish, some of them spoke Italian, some of them spoke French, and some of them spoke English, and the only way they could talk to each other was through the music, the music, the music.
It'd be totally fair to refer to a lot of even my main channel videos as vlogs, because a lot of what I like to do with my listeners is to take them through my experience, to sort of invite you along for the ride, to show my work and show you how I got to these conclusions I reached, so that you can just follow the same train of interest that I'm following. You don't have to already be interested in the subject matter. You're just interested in me, and I'm taking you along and helping you to get interested for the exact same reasons I am. This is the entire way that my great director who time forgot is structured. I really think that I want to embrace that. I want to embrace that invitation to the narrative because I think that's so integral to the format of YouTube. And even though I've always considered myself a writer, someone who primarily is, writing for the page, I have transformed the way I write so much because of YouTube, because I know it's going to be a video, because I know how I'm going to sound voicing it, because I know like the tempo and style of my speaking. I can write sentences that fit the tempo and style of my speaking. I've tried to write stuff that's like not written for video and then go voice it later, and I can't really voice it because, sorry, I have this way too loud. I can't really voice it because of the fact that like it's not written to be voiced, so it won't sound right using the same voice that I would usually use. Yeah, my writing has been like corrupted by the fact that I'm a YouTuber in a way. But corrupted in a good way, because YouTubing is what I do. It's my profession. It's what I consider to be the art form that I'm a part of. I always insist that I'm an artist because I do think that there is a specific art to making YouTube videos. And while I might not be like a fucking Van Gogh at that fucking art style, I at the very least am a professional in it. So let me invite you on one of these fucking little tours. Baby Father. It's about to play the next mixtape. Baby Father is a rap project by an artist named Dean Blunt, who I think low-key is a performance artist, or at least is like a living meme. And this dude has not really been talked about like in this way yet. People are just kind of like circling the edges of like realizing that that's what this guy is. Because all the reading I do of him just continually describes him as mysterious. It just keeps saying, like, no one really knows what's going on with him. He was part of this weird group, considered a group of artists, consisting of him and a few other people, that existed for like 5 years, but no one can really quantify, like, what they did, or like what they were doing. They had like a YouTube channel that when you look at like the list of videos, it looks like it's like the key to an ARG. Like it looks like they were launching an ARG out of this YouTube channel or something. It's all just like weird nonsense shit. They started releasing music, and all of their music is really fucking weird nonsense shit, but it also kind of sounds good, and it's also way unique and doesn't sound like anything else. And because these guys have managed to get themselves backed by labels, like they get talked about on music websites, like they're talked about as a musical act, not like a YouTube group, not like a internet celebrity or something. They're talked about like these are musicians who also do like weird stuff, I guess. But I feel like the weird stuff, I guess, is obviously the center of this. It's obviously the sort of focal point, The music obviously is a part of the weird stuff, because the music is weird stuff. So this Baby Father thing is like some bizarre, air quotes, rap side project of Dean Blunt's. These are like weird things. They've got like random excursions into just like bad sounding clips from movies, or just like whole songs are backwards. It's like goofy, weird shit going on. The other one I listened to, the one that came out this year, that one opened with like,
when I get married, I want romance, I want flowers, I want poetry, I want weekends in Paris, I want breakfast at Tiffany's. Girl, you want a white man.
And then it goes right into like the worst like radio sounding trap song imaginable. Like a parody, like an obvious parody of what like modern trap sounds like trying to make it sound as bad as possible, or just as weird as possible, but like it sounds terrible. But then after like 1 minute,
Koi boy.
it just starts going in reverse, and then it's like a totally different song that's playing backwards and sounds great. And it makes you go like, wait, what's that song? What's the forward version of that song? You sounds like you wrote a good trap song and then played it backwards. And then eventually...
The girl says I'm selfish, what a lie. But she can't get this shit from any other guy.
The original vocals come back, the forward vocals, over this same backwards beat. And this goes on for like a long time. Like this backwards beat goes on for like half the album. And it's an 18-minute album, by the way. The Babyfather albums have been released like with a YouTube video and a download link. But they're reported on music websites. Even though this is like a free project that has nothing to do with the label, because the guy is recognized as a music artist, they talk about these random fucking weird music drops on music websites. Like, and it's not even like Dean Blunt's particularly popular. He's got a couple of albums. Sorry, my fucking voice is getting destroyed. He's got a couple of albums that have done like okay numbers, I guess. He is sort of respected as a musician for his work that he's done under the name Dean Blunt, such as the album Black Metal, which like Anthony Fantano had in like his top 10 or 15 of the year that it came out. And I listened to it all the time because even though it was like some weird backwards postmodern parody of like every genre conceivable, which I just read some review of it that was like really like a detailed and researched review that just goes into all this stuff about like what samples were used and why on which songs. It's fucking crazy the amount of thought that probably went into making just some weird music, and it's considered like his more accessible album. Like, it's much more accessible, even though it's still like utterly weird. There's a song that's just like one keyboard loop for like 11 minutes or 16 minutes or something. There's an 11-minute and a 16-minute song, and both of them are just a loop that goes on forever after a certain point. And I listened to this album all the time because it was just really nice to go to bed to. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what the fuck I was listening to. But, you know, I'm one of those people who's like fostering the career of this guy, but like thinking of him as a musician when the reality is he just is doing weird shit. This guy's just like making weird shit and just posting it online, and he doesn't have a following as that. Like, not as much as of one. Like, he doesn't have as much people reporting on him for like being this crazy weirdo. It's more like they go, oh, Dean Blunt, he made this album that we gave an 8, and today he put out this weird Babyfather tape. We don't get it, but here's a link, you know? I'm just saying, shit's real interesting. So why have I been running away from this identity as a YouTuber? Well, I think part of it has to do with the way I've perceived other YouTubers who are better than me at these things. People who know how to edit better. I'm not necessarily great at editing, nor do I necessarily enjoy it. However, I usually exert myself a lot more when I'm exploring a new concept and like not editing the same kind of thing that I'm used to editing, or which just isn't fun to edit. Like, editing anime clips is not fun. You know, I don't think Devu would do it if I didn't pay him to do it. It's not something he would choose to do in his spare time, you know? It's definitely not something that I enjoy doing, but that's because I'm just editing for, you know, this script that didn't really take editing into account. Now, I can write a script around editing, And I've had times where I've done that, and it's always made it way easier and way more fun to edit. It's a lot more fun to edit something like the Your Anime Sucks videos on Sword Art Online, especially the early part before I have to use all the footage from the show, when I'm just like, you know, barreling through all these different things that, like, I've thought a lot about what the imagery would be, you know, or like I'm trying to make a joke here and I wrote that joke into the script and now I just have to recreate it in editing, and that's really fun problem solving. But I don't write a lot of videos like that. I like writing my quick essayist sort of YouTube videos, you know, and promoting those as like the forefront of my content, even though at this point, I can't say that I think that they really are. Now, I do think something like the Mori Masaki video is like a really fucking great, like, well-written essay video. I think it's the best thing that I've put out in a little while, you know, but I also appreciate that while people, you know, like that content, they tend to like it as part of this, you know, grander scope of liking Digibro. That, like, they wouldn't have really watched that if someone else had made it. And there's some people who would, and I try to write it in a way that those people can appreciate it. I'd love if people who are just interested in anime history came across that video and were way into it. But, like, those aren't the people who pay my bills. Those aren't, like, the bulk of my subscribers. The bulk of my subscribers are people who are like, I want the next Your Anime Sucks, or I want more personality, I want more, like, whatever it is that you've got that's unique, I want that. And that's what they've got through those videos. And I don't think the audience necessarily understands what they really want. I think the fact that they want, like, the next The Asterisk War Sucks, or, you know, Sword Art Online video, is just a sign that they want me to do something big and funny and crazy again. But, like, it doesn't have to be that. And I haven't really explored the possibility of what else I could do that would get that kind of reception. You know, what else could I do that fans would gravitate to as much as they would gravitate to me just shitting on an anime? There's this, like, weird pervasive idea, seemingly, that you need negativity in order to sell. And that's not the case. Negativity is just an easy sell. Everyone will click on negativity either because it's funny or because it's controversial and they want to be kept abreast of it. It's easy to be funny when you're shitting on something. It's easy to enjoy the schadenfreude of, like, seeing bad art get torn apart. However, just as many videos are popular that are about liking things, and not just things that other people like. You can make videos liking things that other people hate, and it's still going to be popular just depending on how you market it. You just can't call it, like, Sword Art Online a positive review. You gotta, like, really sell us on, like, that this is a good video, that it's making good points, that it's got a good title, and it's gonna get some attention. You gotta fucking sell your video, but if you do, you become Captain Christian, who only ever makes positive videos and, like, rakes in views.
Donald Glover represents a new archetype of entertainer. One that isn't bound by classification. Someone who can easily balance the self-deprecating nature of being a comedian with the boastful, ego-driven persona of a rapper. He's a multifaceted artist that can use all mediums for self-expression.
You're just hurting yourself when you're like, I'm a this, I'm a that.
Alright, I know I said it's just Sprite, but check it out. It's got caffeine. And the biggest problem with Sprite is that it doesn't have caffeine. So this could be a superior Sprite, but I don't think it's quite as refreshing, so I need to do a side-by-side taste test at some point. And we'll see if that happens in the future. Sometimes people tell me they just listen to even my main channel videos and don't really watch them, and I cringe when I hear that, because I honestly think it adds so much to the experience. Not only because I write in a way that deliberately doesn't always tell you what I'm talking about, I, like, allude to something that's on screen all the time, but also because the images are half of the essay. Like, if I tell you that this character looks just like this other character, then you don't have to take my word for it, and I don't have to write a paragraph describing their similarities. I can just fucking show you the characters next to each other, and that's like an entire additional piece of work being done there. The fact that there are some people who, like, don't seem to understand why anime analysis is good on YouTube, like, dude, it should never be done anywhere else, because you're talking about a visual medium, and the amount of information that visuals can convey is staggering. If you haven't seen my video, 1 Million Ways to Love and Hate Anime, that's basically what it's about. How, like, anime has so much going on that, like, you can't really do it justice, you know, without a lot of words or otherwise leaving out a lot of shit, you know. But I can show you a picture of something and you can immediately understand it, and that's beautiful. And I also do a lot of, like, sometimes I write stuff into my scripts that I don't really have a strong example for, or like I don't really feel that strongly about the point I'm making, but then when we, you know, either I or Devu finds the clip that like justifies the point perfectly, that's when it becomes real to me, you know. Or like if I make a mistake, I can correct it in the video. I can, you know, have the video point out the flaws in what I'm saying, or maybe it can even compound on my point, you know, it can expand on it. Plenty of times where I've made an extra point using the visuals. Yeah, I think it's a real shame that people view it that way, and one of the best things about it is you can add in stuff that you forgot, like I'm doing right now. I forgot to record a section of this video talking about just what it is that I think I can bring to the table, or what stuff I'm interested in expanding on in my videos, because the way that my taste in videos is, I watch a lot of stuff like, you know, Demolition D, Endless Jess, comedy people who have like highly edited videos. I am a really big fan of like Red Letter Media, you know, and a lot of these people, what they do is they either fabricate their own narratives or they draw from a greater cultural narrative. For instance, a YouTuber I've become a big fan of is Emp Lemon. This dude clearly draws a huge amount from YouTube and meme culture, and so like he constantly integrates these facets into his videos, so they are intrinsically YouTube meme videos, even though the things he's talking about, well, usually they are YouTube and memes, but like he's doing analytical essays about YouTube and memes and exploring those concepts by, you know, bringing them into the videos in a big way, and I think they are masterfully made.
Do you smell it? That smell. The kind of smell I smell. The same smell that smells. Normies.
Why?
Fucking normal!
Even those are comedy out of this culture of like finding this certain sense of humor and these certain types of videos that go well together, and like, you know, just crafting them in a really unique way. He's an artist of internet memes. Some people like Endless Jess, they have like their own culture that's sort of curated by their taste, where there's like lots of references to wrestling, references to video games, references to Doctor Who, weirdly specific references that only Jesse would ever understand, you know, music choices from games that are important to him, but that like no one else has ever played.
We have built civilizations based on law and order, crafted doctrines of faith and governing principles of morality, guidelines of behavior designed to give us the safe lives of the higher species, free of the carnage and savagery that plagued our ancestors in the time before history.
And they all died. And this guy, this is like the afterlife, and this guy has a tournament, a fighting tournament for these heroes throughout history. They fight, and the winner of the tournament, the winner of the fights, gets a second chance at life. They get to come back to life and be a badass motherfucker again, and kick ass and take names and play games like Reggie Fils-Aimé, the Nintendo guy. But he's not one of the fighters in this game.
These are not the tics of a few select sociopaths. They are the building blocks of humanity. Instinctual behaviors left over from a bygone era. Reminders of where we came from. This is what we are. Perhaps one day we will evolve past our feral nature. This savagery in our souls. But until then, what do we call this animal? This brutal, thrashing creature inside us? This need to kill and fuck and dominate? There can be only one name for the duality within us. It is the altered fucking beast!
That's what he brings, and that's what's like unique and gripping about his content. And you know, obviously most of what I bring is anime, but I don't really bring any particular anime culture beyond the culture of like what is present in anime and screenwriting, and I don't really go for the culture surrounding anime. Like if you look at Demolition D or Best Guy Ever, those guys are huge 4chaners. So memes from A and V appear in their videos all the time. And they edit it in a funny way. It's not like they're just stealing shit from those websites and like not doing anything with it. They're masters of using that culture for comedy. But I don't participate in those boards that way. I don't have a giant image folder of like every fucking reaction picture in the world, nor would I, because like that's not something I find funny inherently. It's not something I would go about creating. I'm also not really much of a comedian, but I do like videos that just take some kind of unique approach. I think what I've got going for me is this like very rough-hewn, drug-trippy, like gonzo approach to journalism. This like not just inspired by Hunter S. Thompson, but by like, you know, the film version of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I haven't even actually fucking seen. But the idea of gonzo journalism, or of like indie filmmaking, of this very rough, very stylized. My visual influences are stuff like Akiyuki Shinbo, who just like will pour detail and opulence into a scene, or strip it all into just 2 colors, you know, that are like really extreme colors. Directors like Rintaro, who will do much of the same, you know, a lot of the early Madhouse guys. Those are the things I like visually, and none of them are really funny. They're just kind of like cool color contrasts and like weird Dutch angle shots and like ways of seeing an immense amount of detail or movement. For instance, in a vlog where a guy's just sitting there talking to you, I'm wearing these weird reflective sunglasses that give you something to look at that you're like, it's like nauseating and dizzying, but it's this game you're playing with trying to recognize what's in the background of them, you know? I think that's aesthetically interesting, and it might make it more viewable of a vlog for some people, such as myself. I'm also a huge fucking music nerd, and like, since I spend so much time listening to music, like in between watching videos and when I am crafting videos, I incorporate music into my videos in certain ways, you know? I've spoken out against the use of music in like analytical essay videos, and that's because I don't really think the music has anything to do with them unless you are making it have to do with them, you know? Even if I look at Every Frame of Painting, who I think is like the absolute master of editing a video visually, and you know, in his he's amazing in his delivery of the script. I don't think the audio has ever been like a strong suit of his. He never had like amazingly crisp audio. He never had like the best mic in the world. He never had the best voice or delivery, and his music choices are pretty random. It's just a bunch of J Dilla and Nujabes shit, you know, which is what everybody else uses because it's just very easy to use as background music in a video. But if you watch Emp Lemon, who's putting like fucking King Crimson and Pink Floyd and Yes in the backgrounds of his videos, like for analytical videos, but because of the way he's structured it, the audio works. These guys are not just using music because it's to make the video more entertaining. It's to help their point. It's part of their art. And I know I could incorporate music in more creative ways than what I've done so far, even with something like the Meta Hole, where I have incorporated it. There's more unique ways that I could go about doing that. I could, you know, have musical choices that are more set to what's going on, or just have them be relevant to the video in some way. If you watch 18 Fresh, the start of the year vlog, there is a lot of weird little, like, relevant things. Like, for instance, yeah, there's, like, lots of random stuff going on screen, but, like, you've got confetti because it's New Year's. You've got snow because it was snowing, you know, all fucking winter. You've got songs that are mostly from producers who I'm friends with. You've got, like, a background song from Just Fern and an advertisement for the music video that she was putting out that day. You've got, like, background music from my upcoming double EP. The covers of it were like shown on screen. You know, like there's lots of those little things that can be done to just creatively add another layer to the video beyond what's obviously there. Now, what I mean that you're seeing it right now is that this is not reality. Now, up until this point, I've always been really hesitant to put any kind of visual filters on my videos, on my vlogs. Even though I think they're really cool, I like the idea of like creating this alternate universe where, you know, the video takes place in. I've always seen people, you know, express that one of the things they love about my vlogs is feeling like they're in the room with me. That feeling that like we're all in this space together and I'm just like, you know, drunk and red pilling you on anime and shit like that, you know, like we're buddies hanging out. And I really appreciate like the appeal of that. I appreciate the idea of like hanging out with someone and like getting that raw inside their head feeling, you know. And I definitely think, you know, people who've met me, who watch my videos, have been interested in, like, the difference between what I'm like in person, what I'm like in video, because, like, when I start talking, I sound like one of my videos, and when I'm not talking, I'm, like, a real low-energy kind of guy, you know, like, I mean, if you give me something to, like, you know, if we have something to discuss or if there's something going on, I'm like up and at 'em and I'm zooming around and in my mind I've got ideas flying left and right. But when I'm sitting around, I'm like I'm just out. I'm just like a fucking light, you know, that has turned off. So like sometimes people just don't are like really shocked to know that that's like the actual, you know, the actualization of it. And so to me, it has never really been what hanging out with me is like. It has been like a highlight reel of what hanging out with me is like. It's like a highlight reel of friendship, of like having a cool, you know, like friend. Cool, I don't know, I got so like drowned in the fact that I just described myself as cool. I thought that was so bad. But anyways, you know what I mean. You want to have someone you can like talk about anime with. I get that, you know, or talk about just your crazy ideas. But like, it's already inauthentic. And I don't want people thinking it's real. I don't want people thinking that like they do actually hang out with me, or that we are like necessarily, you know, like you know exactly what I'm like or what it would like to be friends with me or to hang out with me. Like, I don't want people to have that impression necessarily, you know. Not to say that I don't think we get along. I probably get along with most of my fans just fine. All the ones I meet I usually get along with, you know. I have fun meeting people at conventions. I love saying hello to fans, drinking with fans, and having, you know, and like meeting them, hanging out in the Discord. But I just don't like want this idea that it's the same thing as like knowing digi bro, you know, like knowing Conrad, knowing this guy who you know lives in this house. Like, because it's not. It's a heightened reality version. It's a product. You are like living in a world that I'm creating. You are living in like this world of like what I spin through the way I talk, or like what impression I'm trying to give of myself that is not necessarily reflective of who I actually am. No matter how much you might know about who I actually am, it just isn't quite the finished product. It isn't the actual me. You're missing a significant portion that even someone who's just hung out with me for a day would have. which is the silent portion. The part where we're just like in Starbucks fucking, you know, and I'm whining about how coffee's too hot. Like, you know, but like not in like a funny, ranty, oh, coffee's like blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, mine's hot. You know, like, it's a lot of what life is, you know. So if this is not real anyways, if we're living in a heightened simulation of the Digibro experience, why not go all the way with it? You know, why not make sure you know that? Why not make sure that it feels like you're watching a show? Make sure it feels like you're watching something that I put together because it's the way I wanted it to be, you know? That I'm representing myself in a way that I found interesting or that I would want. So I'm creating more of an art piece, you know? And I'm not saying I'm doing anything crazy advanced. I'm not saying I'm doing like some real fucking high level shit or like postmodern breaking the barriers of what YouTube is. No. But I think adding in, first of all, just making the videos tighter and better, because like jump cuts make a video better sometimes. Like you might not get that like that intimacy, but like the video is fucking snappier and it sounds better and it makes the point better and you remember it better because like you hear the words one after another and you don't have to stop and wait for me to think and then get distracted and start looking at your phone because like you're 14 minutes into a 16-minute video and you're pretty sure you got the point, but you're just like kind of tuning out, you know? I want it to feel snappier. I want it to feel tighter, and I definitely want it to look better. And that's why I'm wearing the gold shades, because they look really cool and they add an entire other dimension to the video when you try to look at what I'm seeing and then look at me, you know? So that's the meta, and I hope you enjoyed.